Today's question is how to tell what ending I should use for nouns and verbs in Latin. The first thing that I have to do is I have to determine what the grammatical function of the word that I'm trying to find an ending for is. In the first sentence, Tom sees the girl. The subject of this sentence is Tom. The subject is the person or thing that's doing the action. The next sentence I have the verb. The verb, Tom sees is the verb, the girl. The verb is the action, the actual action in the sentence. It can also be, as we see down here in is, it can also be a be verb. For the direct object, Tom sees the girl. The girl is receiving the action, so it basically is answering the question, what? Tom sees what? Well, he sees the girl. So she's receiving the action. A complement is slightly different. You're going to see complements when you're dealing with be verbs. You're going to get the subject Tom, and then on the other side of this linking verb, you're going to get what Tom is. It can be an adjective, or it could be, in this case, a noun. And we have two explanations for that. We have a predicate adjective, which would be Tom is funny, for example, or we have a predicate nominative, and that's what we have right here, a predicate nominative, which is a noun describing Tom. So the first thing we're looking for when we're trying to decide what ending to use for a Latin word is we're looking for the grammatical function. The second thing that I'm going to look for is, for nouns, I'm going to look for case. If it is a subject, the case of the word will be nominative. If it is a direct object, the case of the word will be accusative. And if it is a complement, the case of the word will also be nominative. Now, the verbs don't have cases, but they do have conjugations, and we'll talk about that in a second. If I'm looking at a noun, I want to know what the case is. That's the first thing. The next thing that I'm looking at for nouns is number and gender. I want to know what the number and gender is. For verbs, I'm looking for what conjugation or what family it belongs to. If it is a subject, we know from right here that the subject of a sentence is going to be nominative. So I'm looking for nominative endings. A singular nominative ending, if it is feminine, is the letter A. If it is masculine, it is going to be US, and we do have some that end in R. If the subject is plural and feminine, then the ending will be AE. If the subject is masculine and plural, then the ending will be I. So once I've determined that the grammatical function of the word is subject, and I've determined that a subject is in the nominative case, then all I need to know are what are the nominative endings for the case nominative. A, USR, AE, and I are the nominative case endings for the nouns that we're dealing with at this time. Now, a direct object. If I look over here, the direct object is in the accusative case. Once I've determined that it is in the accusative case, the next thing that I'm going to do is ask myself, is it singular or plural? Is it masculine or feminine? If it is feminine and singular, AM is the ending that I would use for the direct object. If it is masculine and singular, I would use UN. Now, we haven't gone over the accusative plurals, but I'll give them to you anyway. They are AS and OS for the masculine plural. If I determine that the grammatical function of the word is a complement, then I have, again, a nominative ending. Complements are going to have nominative ending, so I decide it's a complement. I have to decide whether or not it's singular or plural, feminine or masculine. I'm going to have the same endings that I had up top, A and AE. Oh, sorry, my bad. I'm going to have A for the feminine singular, AE for the feminine plural, US or R for the masculine singular, and I for the masculine plural. Complements and subjects are nominative case. The direct object is in the accusative case. Now, when I'm dealing with a verb, I have to decide what family it belongs to. There are 4 families. We have the first conjugation, which has an infinitive that ends in are, like the word amare. We have the second conjugation, which has a long E, that's a macron over the E, re, that's like sedera. We have short ere, or no macron over the E, and that is words like conspicera. And then the fourth conjugation is ire. It also has a macron over that I. And those word we've had exera. Once I've determined what family that word belongs to, then I can come up with the base for the word. Remember, if it has a macron over that vowel, the vowel will stay. So I have A-M-A, I take off the R-E, there's a long mark over the A, so the A stays. I have S-E-D-E, there's a macron over that E, so the E stays. Then I have conspice. There isn't a macron over that E, so the E will go away. And then for exere, there is a macron over the I, so the I stays. This is what we call the base or the stem of the verb. Now the ending will come, we also have to decide whether or not it's singular or plural. And if it is singular and part of the first conjugation, the A stays and we add a T. That T is a personal ending. It's a third person ending. If it's plural, the A stays and we add an NT. So I would have amat and amant. For the second conjugation, the E stayed and then I add a T. The E stayed for the plural and I add an NT. For the third, remember the E went away, so I have to come up with a vowel. It's an I. And for the plural, it's either going to be UNT or IUNT. And as we get further along in Latin, we'll discuss which one to pick and when. Right now, you just kind of have to memorize which ones are IUNT and which one are UNT. The I stays for the fourth conjugation, so I have an I and a T, and all fourth conjugations will be IUNT for the plural. Okay, so I know what the grammatical function is, I know what the number is, I know what the gender is for the nouns, I know what the number is and the conjugation is for the verbs. So now I have all of these endings. These are my choices. These are my choices. So when I get into a word like the one here, or I get into a sentence like the one here on the bottom, the energetic girls catch sight of a wolf, then I have to determine the grammatical function, the case, the number and gender for the nouns and adjectives. And for the verbs, I have to come up with the number, singular, plural, and the family, the conjugation, whether it's first, second, third, or fourth conjugation. So let's start with energetic. What kind of word is it? Well, it's an adjective, so it's going to modify a noun. It's going to modify girl. We know that adjectives have to agree in case, number, and gender. So looking at the word girls, we ask ourselves, what is the grammatical function of girls? Are they doing the subject or are they receiving the subject? These girls are catching sight of, so they are the subject. We know that it's going to be nominative. So my choices right now are, if I know that girls is nominative, my choices are A, US or R, AE or I. The next thing that, oh, sorry, wrong way. The next thing I'm going to ask, no case, it's nominative, I need to know number, singular or plural. Girls is plural. Go back to my chart here. I've eliminated the 8. I've eliminated the US and the R. It's going to be one of these two, A, E, or I. Next thing that I'm looking at is the gender. Girls are feminine. So I go back to my chart. I can eliminate the I. My answer is AE. So I'm going to put, oh, wrong way, sorry. I'm going to put Puel, which is girl. And then my ending was AE. Energetic. Strenu is the stem of that word. It also has to be nominative, plural, and feminine. So I'm going to use the same ending that I had for Puelli because it has to agree in case, number, and gender. The next word that I have is catch sight of. That is a verb. For a verb, I have to determine the number, singular or plural, and the family, what conjugation it comes from. In this case, the number, because girls is plural, the subject is plural, the verb is also plural. If I go back and look at my chart, if it's going to be plural, it's got to be one of these 4 endings. Now, if I can remember that the word is conspicere without a long ERE, it's a short ERE, I know that it belongs to the 3rd family of verbs. Going back, that means I can eliminate the 1st, the 2nd, and the 4th. That gives me 2 possibilities. Now at this point, I don't know whether it's UNT or IUNT. So I try UNT. That doesn't look like a word that I've seen in my translations. I try IUNT. That does look like something that I have seen in my translations, so I'm going to leave it. The next word I have is wolf. Again, determine the grammatical function. Is it doing the action? Is it receiving the action? What do the girls catch sight of? And remember, if I go back to my grammatical function page, you remember that I told you that direct objects answer question what? In this case, what do the girls catch sight of? Wolf. So that tells me that it's the direct object. So the grammatical function of wolf is direct object. If I go over here, I know that the case of the direct object is going to be accusative. Right? It's accusative. My accusative endings are right here. So it's one of those 4. It's either AM, AS, UM, or OS. I've determined the case. I need to know if it's singular or plural. In this case, wolf, there's only one of them, so it's singular. I can eliminate these 2. It has to be AM or UN. The last thing that I'm looking for is the gender. Is a wolf, is it feminine or is it masculine? I know that it's masculine, so my answer is UN. So I have the base, which is LUP. It is the accusative singular masculine, lupin, UM. So when I'm choosing these endings, I have to ask these questions. For a noun or an adjective, I have to ask grammatical function. So I'm looking for the case, the number, and the gender. For the verbs, I need to know the number and the family it belongs to. The reason I need a number is because I need to know if it's T or NT. The family helps me determine whether to use the letter A, the letter E, the letter I. And that's how I determine what endings to put on the end of Latin